The Devil in the White City is a nonfiction book by Erik Larson. It is about two men, one of them in charge of basically creating the Chicago World's Fair, and the other one is one of the most prolific serial killers, maybe the first, H.H. Holmes. So these two are explored in tandem, jumping back and forth. Most of the focus is on the man behind the World's Fair, though. So this book is pretty dense. I need to say that up front. It's very dense. The only thing that got me interested was the serial killer aspect, so that I was more focused on the his methods and his building up of his sort of murder castle. So you only get a few snippets from that because it's a 50-50 book. So if you're like a true crime fan who just is into the serial killer thing, you might get bored by the architectural stuff. But me, I didn't mind the architectural stuff. It's nice to learn about history and things like that and how they were competing with the Paris one. Basically all of the work that had to go into like building it and all the people they had to bring in, the money spent for such an event. It was quite eye-opening. It was interesting to learn something about at the time because, they had the Chicago fire. And then, so overall, Devil in the White City, I can't give it a super high score because of basic research. I went on Wikipedia, and something the book does is really weird is that it led on that H.H. Holmes is a dangerous person. And he was, but it made it seem like he was more dangerous than he was. For example, when he first moves to Chicago, he works at a pharmacy with this woman and her sick husband upstairs. And when he passes away, he offers to buy her pharmacy and let her live upstairs, and then she mysteriously disappears. So the author makes it seem like she was the first victim, like he choked her out or something and then buried the body. But I just checked Wikipedia really quickly. He never had anything to do with her death, So it almost felt like a little like aggrandizing, any woman who disappeared around him it was automatically killed, when the reality is no. He needs to have a reason to kill people. He doesn't just kill everyone in the room for no reason. But I really like the way they described him, his personality. He really came to life. His charm, because he was also a con man as well as a serial killer, right? He would just lie about everything, and most people take it at face value because most people see the good in things, especially in the 1800s, and if you say, oh, I'm sorry, my boss is not here, I'll have the money for you in a week, most people would just say, oh, okay, you seem like a good chap, and you offered me a cigar and a meal, and you seem like, a very charming young man, so I'll take your word for it, I'll be back in a week, but then he moves everything. So on the serial killer side, it's an interesting story, but it's not that fleshed out. It was pretty macabre, though. I almost got violently sick a few times, because one section of the book describes Jack Ripper's thing and his third murder, I believe, and it was just gruesome. A trigger warning right there. Some of the content is pretty gruesome for that, and then also some of his victims. They described a couple other kills that were really nauseating for me. I just had a bad reaction to that. I wasn't expecting it to be that visceral and violent for back in the day. And then we jump back to the man doing the architect stuff, and it's interesting enough, sometimes I noticed that sometimes the architecture stuff goes on too long, so they jump back into H.H. Holmes for just a little bit to sort of balance out the pacing. But overall, it's a very intriguing story. I listened to it on audiobook, so it might be a little bit hard to read because it's kind of dry. You might find yourself trying to it's easier for me on audiobook just because you can jump back and forth. So overall, Devil in the White City, it was a really interesting read. Definitely worth checking out if you're into history or serial killers, but you won't get that much serial killer stuff. Only half the book, even less, is about the H.H. Holmes guy. But if you're interested in the topic, there's other books too. So I give Devil in the White City a 3.5 out of 5.